Awesome, it's working? Yeah. All right. Excellent. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Renaud. I'm your next guest speaker. So I was asked to do this presentation by Jillian Mood a couple months ago after meeting her for a cup of coffee. And I think I got this gig because of the story I told her. So I'm going to tell you this story before I get started. And I'm also going to be talking about leadership and how, through my experience, it helped me reach where I am today. So I know Jillian isn't here, but she's probably going to see the live stream. So thank you very much, Jillian, for the opportunity. I think this is fantastic. I am super happy to be talking to you guys today. So thank you. All right. So noob to pro in 18 months. So I officially started my career in game dev in May 2015. I was hired to work for a local studio, and I was lucky enough to be able to work on a major production, working with a major studio, working with Walt Disney, on a augmented reality experience. So 6 months later, I'm in charge of the team. I have artists that have close to 20 years experience. I have 6 months. I'm leading a dev team. And 6 months after that, the studio closes. So I decided, you know what, got a lot of talent, got a lot of passion, so let's start our own studio, which is exactly what we did. 6 months after that, I was asked to teach at the Algonquin College in the 3D modeling, and being asked to do these conferences. So I think, that's my personal little success story, and I'm pretty happy about that. And that, I think, is the story that got me this gig, like I said, when I spoke it and told it to Jillian Mood. But I think what really helped is that I found my why, right? So I think Simon Sinek said it beautifully in one of his talks, that people don't buy what you do, but people buy why you do it, right? If you're confident and you know what you are doing and love what you do, people will naturally follow you. And I think that's what has always been my strength, is that I can truly talk about my passion and live my passion. And I don't know if you've ever spoken to anybody that is passionate about what they do, but you just want to follow them. It doesn't matter what they do. They might be cleaning toilets, and you're going to go, oh my God, I want to learn how you're doing this. This is amazing, right? So passion, I think, is the number one thing, and this came for me from finding out what my why was. And talking about leadership, I think that you have to know who you are first. You'll never be able to inspire anybody to follow you if you don't know yourself, right? So that's what brings me to that first point of the why. So the truth is, though, is it took 10 years. All right? So I've been saying, oh my God, it's great, I did it in 18 months, but the truth is, it actually took me 10 years to get where I am today. And what happened is that I studied at l'Institut Collégial in 3D back 13 years ago. And when I graduated, I didn't have my portfolio. I slacked off, like most people, doing the MVP, minimum viable product in school. And of course, people don't hire you when you do that, right? So I got an opportunity to work for public transportation. And then, I started realizing, like, oh, okay, this is cool, but there's more I can do. And I've never seen that as a failure. I saw that as an opportunity. So I started learning about efficiency models, about running events, about the business side. And then doing these things, I started saving the company a bunch of money. And then, again, I would never stop. I was always doing something. I was president of the union. I was part of the social club organizing events. And I saw this as being a learning experience for me. After which I was picked and went to work in healthcare. And then in healthcare, I did the same thing, efficiency models. And I was pretty lucky. I was working for a boss that truly trusted me and allowed me to do what I want every day, and told me that I can pick up my subjects and pick my projects and run with them. And again, it's along the way you learn with great people that are there to support you and help you. And I would have never been able to get to where I am if it wasn't for all of those people around me that were able to be great leaders to me and show me how I can progress this way. So I like sharing this story that it actually took me 10 years, because then it's, again, I think everybody said it today, but it's sharing those failures, right? Those experiences that make you more human, more approachable. And that brings me to my second point, right? it's connecting with people on a human level. And I think we've heard this, again, throughout the day about this being a human business. You need to be able to talk with people. And when you start talking about your amazing successes that seem so magical, people have a difficulty of connecting with you. So, and I think one of the great things that I've read recently was that the measure of one's success is the added value that he brings to others. So, all right, sorry, I'm just getting lost here. Okay, so, and I think that throughout that experience, I found it pretty easy to spot those bad leaders, because the bad leaders will be talking about their employees and how they're doing and so forth, instead of talking about the we, right? What I found in the leadership experience is that you have to be part of that team. The leaders are the first one on the ground working with those teams, and that's where you're going to be finding that passion and connecting with those people, right? So yeah, 10 years, yeah. So yeah, essentially, I do feel like an imposter very often. And especially when I was asked to start teaching, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to teach these guys how to do anything? I barely have 2 years experience. I didn't know where I was going. And people respected me because I was honest about it, and I could share that story with them, and people connected. And it was very easy for me then to just go out and talk with them and be able to guide them through their process and their learning process. And actually, in that 10 years, and including teaching, there was one really important thing that really helped me progress, which was the positive leadership. And there was one missing aspect, I think, of positive leadership that I pieced together while teaching, and that was being honest. So be honest about the expectations from day one. What I realized with the students is that I always wanted to push them, be driven by their success, and talk to them about how great they are all the time. So even if I saw something that wasn't being great, I would still tell them, like, that's great, but you gotta like tweak this, but that's awesome, you're doing amazing. And then I'll never forget this, there's one student that got her grade, and she's probably gonna watch this, and she knows who she is. She gave me that look of disappointment because I essentially had lied to her. I had given her that false hope of her doing great, and then when she actually got the grade, she wasn't doing great. And I told her that face is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. But that's where it brought me to that extremely important key that you can be very positive, but you have to manage expectations when you're talking with people, right? If you don't manage those expectations, people are gonna think they're doing amazing, and then you're essentially lying to them, and you're not gonna be doing anything good to them. So again, I'm gonna be giving you a couple of quotes as I'm going here. But Dale Carnegie said, give the other people the fine reputation to live up to. So I'm sure we've all lived through this where, depending on how people perceive us, we're gonna be talking, acting differently, right? So that's one of the greatest things in leadership is if you give them a positive attitude, a positive image, people will usually try to live up to those expectations. And one of my favorite bosses actually told me that there are no such thing as bad employees. It's just people in the wrong place, right? So again, I think leadership, right? It's not about what is easy for you, but it's about what's easy for them. It's about being there for the people, and it's not about, like I said at first, I thought I was being good to my students by lying, well, not lying, but by making it easy for me to just encourage them and tell them they're great, they're great, they're great. But essentially, I was not helping them grow as artists. So this brings me to the fourth point, right? Learning. And learning is a philosophy. It's not a goal, a destination. It is a path that you must embark on and always continually learn. And again, everybody's been saying this all day about learning, but it is the key to success. And whether you're doing it on your own, like Mike Mood did, which did a fantastic job, or doing it in school, you have to have that mentality that you're always going to have to learn something new. That's what game development is all about. It's about having these new problems and new difficulties, but being able to overcome them. If you don't have that mentality that somebody else will be able to resolve it for you, you're never going to be able to be a success here. So from there, having a learning culture or a culture of no bad ideas is a key to the success of any enterprise and being a good leader. I actually had, and I wasn't supposed to say this, but I actually had a boss that once met me after a meeting and said that I had not earned my right to speak yet. So it's not the best way to encourage an employee to share their ideas. Happily, it didn't last very long, this relationship, but, and I'm lucky to say that that's one person amongst 1,000 people that I've met that had a negative approach to leadership. Where the rest have taught me so much on actually being positive and helping other people grow. And again, I think the reason why I was able to grow this quickly in 18 months was the fact that this is this type of industry that people like to help others. Everybody I've met so far in this industry were there to give me a hand, to introduce me to somebody else. And I'm trying to do the same thing now today by helping others and introducing and connecting. Jillian has done an amazing job, and I've also met with Carmen, thanks to Jillian, although we had met in the past working for one of those companies that had closed. And Carmen are amazing people as well. So I'm actually feeling this afternoon is all about Carmen right now. So again, about a great culture, I found this online, and it was actually written in French, and it's a different Renault group. This is actually the Nissan group there, the Groupe Renaud. But I think that's fantastic. This is a piece of paper that is actually dropped on all new employees' desks on day one, right? And I think it clearly defines a positive culture and how they perceive it. All right, again, all right. So I think I really flew through this. And here you go. I think this is pretty much my last slide here. So again, I wanted to do a quick recap on what I was talking about here. But if you want to be a strong leader and be able to inspire people, I think the first thing you have to do is really find your passion, find your voice, find your why. Once you have that, it'll be easier for you to connect with people. And the first thing I was surprised to see when I got in the industry is that everywhere else I worked, I felt like I was an introvert until I got in this industry. So it's already hard enough to try to connect with people here that, if you're going to start building those barriers and building yourself up on that stage, it's going to be that much harder for you to have people feel confident or comfortable in talking to you. And again, it's true that when you're leading a team, 80% of your capacity in developing individuals are going to be the people you bring in. But you have to remember, again, there's no such thing as bad employees, right? So it's about helping them find their why as well. And be honest, right? That doesn't mean lying and misdirecting people. And the other thing that I found was that people follow leaders, not for the leader's sake, but people follow leaders for themselves. People want to improve. So you got to find your added value as a leader, and finding your why will help other people find their why as well, right? And that's it. All right. Thank you very much. So if you guys have any questions, I can answer, or comments. Yeah. Yes?
So when you say, as a leader, you should find your added value, what's yours, for example?
Okay, so I found my why through my experience, and my added value is that what makes me feel good, and the reason why I wake up every morning and I go do what I do is because I love empowering others. Right? So my added value is I can help you find your why, and I really enjoy sitting next to you and helping you grow. That's what brings me the greatest success in my life. Like I said, success to me is really seeing other people succeed, and I think that's where I can really be helpful. I mean, just literally before coming in and doing my talk, I was still answering students and helping them out, because that's how passionate I am. I just truly deeply love helping people, and seeing people succeed or having that click of understanding in their brain, to me is the most rewarding thing. And honestly, when I started working in this, I actually told my boss, I said, sucker, I would have done this for free. Like literally, I would have paid you to be here. So, yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
You mentioned the
Well, that was one of the challenges that I found was how can you be honest while being positive? And what I realized is that I was lying to them, not for them, but for me. I was trying to protect myself. And once I realized is that I wasn't helping them, it just seemed to remove that entire burden on my shoulders that I'm lying or I'm being negative with them. In fact, it's not. Students are there to learn. And if you keep telling them that it's awesome, it's awesome, it's awesome, they don't feel like they're learning, right? I'm the same way, and like my partners are the same way. We want to improve. People want to be able to master their craft. And the only way to master your craft is by those little failures here and there. And that's something that I had to learn to be able to help those students understand. And now I feel comfortable giving positive critique, right? It's constructive critique. It's not being negative. It's not about lowering them. It's not about their person. It is truly about their art and their work and how they can get better, right? So now I got a lot of good comments about how I approach them, right? Because again, I'm staying positive and I'm never putting them down. All right, thank you. All right. So, excellent. Oh, yes?
To kind of build on that, like, would you have any suggestions on, like, or I guess how would you approach, like, giving constructive criticism, but, like, not making the person feel like they always need to, like, they're always doing something wrong? Because, like, I don't know, in the past, like, when I've worked on certain projects, if the person that I'm working with or for continuously tries to like give me constructive criticism, but never actually
Yeah, exactly. So I had to actually learn this before, where it's the sandwich trick. So start with the positive, go to some negative, and then go back to some positive. All right, so people will remember the beginning and the end of the speech, but then they got the constructive commentary in the middle. Right? So I think that's another fun little trick, and that's usually very helpful. But again, I truly believe that everybody can be success, and I think that you have to have that mentality of not seeing things negatively, right? So as that person's leader, if in your mind, in the back of your mind, you're seeing that person as a failure and he's never going to succeed, they're going to know, they're going to feel it, right? So I don't see that. I truly believe that everybody that I've come in contact has something amazing to give. I think we all do. And it's trying to help them find what it is and then help build with them, right? Instead of trying to fight them and trying to put them in that mold, right? And just help them grow. Which, and again, I'm pretty lucky because we're part of the artistic side, right? So I'm a 3D modeler by trade. Which I know most of you guys are more dev side. So we're actually the 3D company here that is probably one of the only ones here, if I'm not mistaken. By show of hand, actually, I'm just curious. 3D companies here. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Most devs here. So yeah, we have that artistic liberty, right, of trying to let people express themselves, right? It's not like code where you have to write it that certain way. But again, I know that code, you can be very expressive as well, so I'm not going to say anything bad about that. All right, that's good. And oh, actually, one last tip about this is that in talking with people and being a good leader is that the learning experience comes that you have to listen to them, right? You have to learn and understand and be there. And it does sound like so much more work that you have to sit down with everybody and understand who they are and what they're feeling. But the truth is, you can't help them if you don't understand what it is they're having issues with. So listening is the number one thing, and there's this great quote that says that you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, so you should be listening twice as much as you talk, right? So I think that's fantastic. I think it's great. Another one of my favorites was everything that's coming out of your mouth, you already know, so shut the fuck up, right? I think that was Gandhi. I'm not sure, but I think, yeah. So anyways, thank you very much, everybody, and have a great expo. All right.